All right, guys, today we're looking at a brand new shooter game called The Finals that came out recently, and it's definitely one of the more interesting things I've seen in a while. It has its own identity for sure and unique gameplay experience. It definitely takes a lot of inspiration from Apex Legends with their movement system, and Overwatch as well with some of their abilities they offer. But the most important question right off the bat is this game fun? Yes, it is definitely very fun. I have a few minor issues, I would say, in the grand scheme that I definitely do want to discuss, but right away I'll tell you it's definitely a great, fun, new kind of game that you should probably download because it is free to play and not very much space on the hard drive either. I played on PC and it's only about 7-8 gigabytes or so on Steam. So it's something that everybody should at least be giving a go. Best way to describe it is the movement in this game is a lot like Apex. The gunplay feels a lot like Call of Duty, and the abilities feel a lot like anything you would find on an Overwatch character. Now, it doesn't do every single one of these things very great, but the fact that they're all wrapped up together into one game is the main appeal. Each player picks one of three classes: light build, medium build, heavy build, and each of these builds have their own unique set of weapons and abilities that you're able to make your loadouts from. Heavy build moves the slowest but has the most health and the most defensive abilities such as deployable cover and shields. Medium build has 250 health and a variety of mid-range weapons to choose from. And light build only has 150 health and is all about speed and elusivity. Light build has all of the movement abilities, and it has a variety of short to mid-range weapons, very much specializing in close encounters. Each match is played 3v3v3, so 3 trios all competing at once on the same map. And the primary game mode goes something like this. So different vaults will spawn at different areas of the map, and your team needs to crack one of these vaults and escort it to a cash out area. Now, cashing out for your team takes time, so you're going to have to defend the area once you initiate the cash out. And all of the encounters happen between fighting over the vaults and then escorting the vaults and then defending the vaults. Because at any point in time, a cash out can be stolen by another team. And the team with the most money at the end of the match, or that reaches the money limit first, is declared the winner. Now, in tournament mode, there's an elimination round up until leading up to the final round, the finals, of course. Each of the 2 teams with the most money are the ones that advance, and the 2 teams with the least money are the ones knocked out each rung. So it's not your typical type of battle royale game, although it does have a similar feel, I would say, when playing in tournament mode. And it's also not quite your typical Call of Duty 6v6 team deathmatch. So like I was saying, this game definitely has carved out its own sort of lane here. They also have a ranked system and a battle pass, and of course they sell other cosmetics. And look, all of this is rock solid. I mean, really, it feels like its own unique thing, and it's fun in its own way, and it does seem like the perfect foundation for a new franchise that could build itself up for the years to come. But some of my frustration and disappointment with this game comes in right here, where it's everything I just mentioned is really all this game has to offer. It's absolutely great that this is a novel, new type of experience to have. Overwhelmingly, I really do have positive things to say about this game, but there's a few very specific things that I think might hold this game back in the long run if they don't get addressed. For starters, it only has 2 game modes, and I find that kind of surprising just because with the whole system they've got going here, I'm surprised they made this one cash out game mode the biggest appeal to picking up this game, because it's just one game mode and everything else around the game is important too. I have an issue with the weapon balancing. I would say that the weapons all feel balanced for the most part, or each of the classes feel balanced, I should say. I think the time to kill in this game is pretty high compared to most other shooters. And it's not like one class has definitely better guns than all of the others, but all of these guns feel perfectly balanced to do lower overall damage than most other shooters you're going to play. You're only allowed to carry one weapon at a time, and it really does take all of your bullets to spray most people down for the most part, aside from the light class. No matter which class you pick, you definitely are going to have to reload 9 out of 10 times in order to spray down even just one heavy character. And the only sniper in the game for the light class isn't even a one-shot headshot. It takes quite a few bullets out of a bolt-action sniper to kill most people sometimes. And although this philosophy towards balancing the game isn't really my taste, I usually like things to all be balanced more towards the overpowered end of the spectrum. I'd be more okay with this if each of the classes felt like they had more of a variety of weapons to choose from. Now, don't get me wrong, they do have a lot of different weapons for each of the classes to pick, but most of these weapons aren't really the best and aren't super viable in every situation. Like 9 out of 10 times with the light class, you should be using either the pistol, the SMG, or the sniper rifle. And 9 out of 10 times with the medium class, you should be using one of the assault rifles. In heavy class, LMGs, or maybe the melee sledgehammer option, because each of these characters do have melee weapons. All the other weapons at your disposal for each of these classes don't really feel properly worked into the meta. And I can't help but feel that this is going to get really stale pretty quick if they don't provide other viable options to make your classes. And on top of this, none of these weapons have any attachments that you could manage or swap out for. I mean, some of these guns do have like reticles, for example, and instead of just iron sights, but you can't really choose as a player what attachments go on what weapon. It's just not in the customization options. So to think if this game was going to last a few years and these were all the options we had at our disposal and only a handful of them feel properly balanced and viable in the meta, I just can't help but think that this has to get old pretty quick. Games like Counter-Strike and Valorant are like this, but those are strictly tactical shooter type games. Now, this game has a tactical shooter aspect to it, but I wouldn't say that's the primary focus. I'd say there's a bigger emphasis on the movement and the run and gun type gameplay. There's a lot of strategy involved here, especially with the destructible environments. You could use breach charges to smash through any wall or ceiling or even level some entire buildings. So you can get pretty creative with your playstyle, but like I've been saying this whole time and like I've spent so much time talking about right now, I just feel very limited with some of these weapons we're given, and I don't really know what more they're going to add to this system. Also, it's worth mentioning, I think the heavy class is a tad bit overpowered right now. They're very difficult to kill for the most part, and they by far have the strongest defensive abilities. Unless you're planning on stealing a whole lot of cash outs, you're almost certainly going to need at least one heavy player on your squad, which I guess it's good that each role feels very defined and unique from each other, but it just feels like a lot of the matches I played in, a lot of people were really able to abuse some of the tools at the heavy class's disposal. And then the only other thing that I really have to knock this game for is it just feels pretty barren of like content. There doesn't feel like a whole lot of different things to do in this game. There's different maps, sure, but only 2 game modes. And I know this is kind of the norm these days. This is kind of what we expect out of live service games especially. It seems like every game is just pushed out as soon as it possibly can be with the intention of adding things to it and improving over time. So all I'm saying is they're definitely gonna need to be updating this game a lot more from here if they want to maintain some sort of relevancy. It's fresh and it's new, but I don't feel that it has a lot of the depth to it that will be able to directly compete with something like Fortnite or Apex or even Call of Duty right now. So it's a shame that no game that comes out anymore feels like it's ready to go on day one. But I think everything they've laid out so far is pretty good, and they definitely have plenty of room that's easy to improve and grow from here. So we'll have to see what the developers end up doing with this game. But for now, I can only say what I can about how it is this present day. And I'm giving it a solid 7 out of 10. Like, this is definitely something worth playing, like I said right at the beginning. I just think they definitely need to be adding some more stuff to this game if they want to compete with any of the more mainstream franchises in the long run. Go give it a try and you'll definitely find it fresh and exciting.